Hello and welcome everybody. My name is Britton. I'm going to be hosting our first Black History Month Hangout on Air. This is part of our Black History Month series that we have that we're profiling our Googlers. It started with some blog posts that we have, and we have with us today some of our Googlers that are in the engineering departments here. So to start us off, how about all of you just introduce yourselves to everybody. We can start with Brittany over there. I know you've had a blog post up, so you can start.
Hey everyone, my name is Brittany Frazier. I graduated from Stanford University with my bachelor's and master's in computer science in 2010, and I've been here at Google as a software engineer in search ever since.
Hey guys, I'm Dare. I also went to Stanford with Brittany, actually. We worked on projects back in the day. Good times. But yeah, I graduated in 2009 with a bachelor's in computer science.
Awesome, I guess it's my turn. I'm Kamar. Nice to meet everyone. I've graduated from Morehouse College, bachelor's in computer science, class of 2011. And I've been at Google for roughly over 2.5 months.
Very cool. Hey everyone, I'm Tess Winlock. I'm an engineer over in payments. I work I graduated from University of the Pacific, which is in Stockton, California, and then I got my graduate degree at UC San Diego. Started here 2010, so been here ever since.
Great. Well, we love celebrating Black History Month at Google because it really helps us see and talk about a lot of the diversity that we have here at Google. And we heard a little bit about Brittany's road to Google. So to start off, how about everyone tell us a little bit about their path studying computer science and basically how they got to Google. Dar, if we can start with you, that'd be great.
Sure, yeah. I guess my path was a little bit unconventional. Like I didn't really know much about computer science until I got to college. I originally went to Stanford to study chemistry, and I got kind of bored with it maybe like halfway through sophomore year, like beginning of junior year. So I started CS kind of late. The main reason I got into it is because people said it was difficult and that I probably wouldn't be able to get it done. I'm a weird kid like that. I like to find things that people say I can't do and just immediately start to do them. So I guess that's kind of how I fell into it, and that combined with a healthy dose of curiosity has kind of kept me going. But,
Sounds like
yeah.
you like a challenge.
Yeah, definitely.
And how did you go from this great challenge that you took away from chemistry, which I find to be extremely challenging also, to computer science? How did you end up at Google?
That's kind of an interesting story. So I graduated and my parents had just moved to the Netherlands. So I kind of had nothing to do for a while, and I was job hunting like crazy. And Google was actually the first place to get back to me. But, you know, then again, it was also one of the biggest challenges in my mind. It was also a place I never thought I'd work. You know, I got the call, so I figured, hey, I'm gonna chase it down and see how far it goes. And I made the cut, so now I'm here.
And how about the rest of you? We can test.
Sure. So I started off undergrad thinking, I mean, I'd always been kind of playing around with like little gadgety devices. My father had like a bunch of computers lying around. And so I started in undergrad as a computer engineer thinking I kind of wanted to like, you know, I wasn't sure like, oh, maybe I'll go for the electrical and build stuff, or maybe I'll go for computer science. And then over time, I just really enjoyed computer science, and the more, you know, programming, it was instant gratification in some ways. And it was also just the, I had gotten several internships that were all computer science, and then I decided to go there. I ended up getting an internship at Lawrence Livermore Laboratories, and then from there, they had like a special there's a special, I guess it was a scholarship, you could call it, for going to like Grace Hopper, and from there I applied. I figured out I could apply to Google, and then that's how I then ended up getting 2 internships here, and then came here full time. So lots of internships is basically the road.
I guess I'll chime in next. For me personally, I've always had a passion for technology, and growing up, I started programming probably around 12, 13. Getting really involved in how to, you know, the future of technology, and really started sculpting like new softwares and outside projects outside of my coursework in school. So naturally it progressed during high school. Like I started tinkering with different things and hardware, like did some work with the Geek Squad kind of thing. And from there, it just seemed like a natural progression to go into computer science coming into undergrad. And from there, I just basically found a deeper passion for technology and influencing it. While I was interning at like Apple and different companies and doing some outside work and some freelance website design, just was taking on different projects and trying to immerse myself in different initiatives, just basically pushing innovation. So I guess with that, while I was at Morehouse, I had a really good interaction, so to speak, with recruiters from Google, and always kept that line of communication open. And basically, upon graduation, I went through the process of applying and doing the interviews and was successful enough to be offered a position here as a product quality analyst, and that's why here I'm at today.
So you were just mentioning you are on the ads quality evaluation team. Can you tell us a little bit about what you do there and what exactly that team does?
Absolutely. So as an ads quality analyst, first and foremost, we're here to protect Google's users and the integrity of the ad network. We do that by investigating questionable business practices and misuse of ad products. So essentially what I do is I execute scalable solutions to effectively combat dynamic forms of ad abuse. That directly impacts, ongoing success with Google's core business. So with that, all the AdWords on the Google search engine, which or that's coupled with your organic search results, we kind of make sure that they're good ads and we don't promote bad.
Great. And Daria, can you tell us a little bit more about what you're doing?
Right. So I'm also actually working in ads quality on the test engineering side. And most of what that entails is designing software systems to test other software systems. So, designing a lot of automation tools and, coming up with new techniques to kind of validate the fact that ads are being shown on Google searches and things like that. But I guess the main end-of-day goal is to ensure that quality is maintained. So I guess attacking that from the engineering side.
Great. And Brittany, since on the blog we have heard about basically your path to computer science and also your path to Google, a question that I would love to ask you specifically is, what is something that you've done since you've been at Google that you have found to be really interesting, whether it's just something that's made you stretch your limits or something that you really find interesting in the whole tech industry and computer science? What's something that has made you really proud to work in this industry?
So I think I was, as I mentioned in the blog post, I worked on launching Search Plus Your World. And as regards to how you feel about it, I think it's just it's one of the biggest changes to the search results page. And so being a part of that was pretty cool. I worked on the UI side of things. My team helped implement all the changes you actually see on the website, and just having a lot of say in shaping how that product actually ended up when we launched it to the world was a lot of fun. I'd only been here a little less than a year, maybe 9 months, 8 months when I switched to that team, and I was still very new and I still had a lot of say. I think my favorite thing that I've done at Google, aside from my job, is Google has a lot of different cafes, and a lot of them, and they give you the opportunity to spend a morning helping to cook. So I spent a morning in my first 6 months helping with the bakery team, and I scooped 1,000 muffins and then baked vegan snickerdoodles that were surprisingly delicious. So that was a lot of fun.
That's great. So since you guys have taken the path, maybe sometimes the path less traveled, or maybe some of you have always been interested in technology, but how would you guys say, what do you think is the best way to encourage more students, especially black students, to get into computer science? Tess, you were an intern before, so you probably have a lot of insight into this. How about you start us off?
Yeah, sure. There's a lot of ways, and there's some interesting ones in trying to start early on I mean, I did some work in undergrad in trying to involve people from the community in Stockton, like getting them on campus to play around with technology and see, like, trying to get them interested in it. I mean, beyond that, it's also trying to, once they are in school, keeping them interested and having courses and a support network. I mean, I greatly credit my undergrad in keeping me very interested in engineering because they took a very vested interest in me and made sure that, you know, that my professors would ask me, like, you know, if you're gone for a couple of days, they'll be like, hey, are you still alive? Are you okay? You know, things like that really help out. I mean, of course, it's not feasible for every university, but it really helps out to keep people interested in, you know, keeps it personal. And I mean, being an intern here at Google, it really, I mean, beyond it being just one of the greatest challenges because you're trying in 3 months to do something, you know, to pick up work and get a big project done. It's a lot of fun because, you know, the university program, I mean, they all try to make sure that all of us have a lot of fun. It was, you know, I mean, we did what? Trampoline dodgeball, all those other fun things on the side. So, you know, it makes sense to mix the, like, crazy hard technology and hard problems with also the personal making things fun sort of way. Yeah, that's
Okay, and Kamar, what do you think is a good way to get kids interested in computer science? Since you've been interested in technology for a while, what really jump-started it for you?
I'm going to start by saying that everybody should, you know, go into computer science. But for me personally, like, I think it was necessarily finding a passion, and specifically, like, with my mom, like, she brought home, like, one of the first PCs, and I was, like, using that and, like, messing around with that, and then I ended up breaking it, but then finding a way to fix it. So, you know, from that early age, I really knew that the core of what I really enjoyed was problem solving and just relating that back to computer science. So, like, I know some of my other classmates at Morehouse, their ways to necessarily find their passion is, like, they might have started off in mathematics or another hard science and just really found a way to bridge the gap between the two. So I think that is definitely finding a passion.
Great.
It definitely sorry.
No, go ahead, Tess.
Oh, I was like, it definitely is involved with making people relate it to themselves and their own drives. If they don't have, you know, it really made it, for me, I guess it did make it personal because I did do some assistive technology in undergrad, and I have always had a big interest in that, and it just really helps if you can, like, actually put a face to, like, the technology that you're doing. So it's like you can actually see, like, oh, I'm building this piece of technology for those with cerebral palsy. I can actually see the results and the help that it's giving. And I can see a lot of people don't really think of computer science. They see it as like, oh, I'm just going to be coding, or oh, I'm just going to be developing, you know, certain little programs. But there are very important benefits that can be gained from technology, and it can really have a face and can smile back at you. So that always helps too.
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and second Kamar's response for, like, finding your passion or just trying to, like, develop it. Like, I'm not going to say everyone's passion should be computer science. I think it should be, but chances are it might not be for you, even though it should be. But computer science for me, I didn't think that it was going to be, like, something I was interested in. Like, I didn't code until, like, Daria, I was in, like, my sophomore year of school and college, and my best friend convinced me to take the introductory CS class. And I was like, this is actually kind of fun, but this is not what I, like, thought I'd be doing. My parents really wanted me to be a doctor, and I was very much not, because Daria and I had very similar paths. Like, we were both chemistry. We both just found CS. We both switched immediately. Like, we're basically the same person.
And our families wanted us to be doctors, too.
So many doctors. And so I think it's definitely, like, worth pursuing things that you might not think you'll be interested in, like, just on the surface, but, like, take an introductory CS class. Like, do stuff with, like, Lego Mindstorms or something, just no matter, like, how old you're. Like, there's always, like, introductory CS things that you can do, and I think it's worth, like, just exploring those, like, with an open mind and, like, seeing what is it like and where can you go from there. And maybe it will be your passion. Maybe you don't have to be a doctor.
Daria, what do you think?
I think exposure is a really big tool. I know growing up, I had a lot of exposure to technology. I didn't even realize it, until I came to Google and I realized like the path I had taken. But growing up as a kid, my neighbor had like the most ridiculous computer system. His dad was like some computer architect somewhere, and he had this ridiculous server system in his house when he always used to go over there and play video games and computer games and things like that. And that really got me interested at an early age, and it had a tangible effect on me. And like even growing up in high school, I started hacking up my Xbox and opening it up and trying to put chips in there and like running different OSs on it and all kinds of weird stuff like that. And that was just kind of like a thing I did on the side. I didn't realize you could actually create these things until I got to college. I started taking CS classes, and I saw that not only could I just use technology, I could be the agent of its creation. So that really got me excited, and seeing the tangible effects of things that you can create and having a positive impact on the world, that really got me excited, and that's what's keeping me going today.
So it sounds like you're saying you can have a positive impact on the world without being a doctor.
Well, I mean, convincing my family of that might be a harder task, but I believe it, yes. I have a funny story about it. I met one of my aunts a while back, and I hadn't seen her in a long time, and I told her, I was working at Google, I'm a software engineer, and she's like, okay, that's cool, but when are you going back to med school? Like, well, I just kind of had to say maybe later because she wouldn't accept the fact that I'm probably not going to do it.
Well, I know Tess talked about the importance of internships, and for those of you out there who are interested in learning about more of our internship opportunities, scholarships, full-time positions that we have after graduation, you can definitely go to google.com/students and see all of that. March 18th is the deadline for the UNCF scholarship for any of you who are interested in that. So just wanted to put that out there for anybody that's interested. And there's a question that our viewers ask all the time, which is, please tell us about a day in your life. So, what is a day in your life? Tess, you can go ahead and start. Tell us about what do you do every day.
Yeah, I mean, the day I always find actually starts with me waking up and walking over to the Google shuttle and then jumping on that and having my free Wi-Fi as I go to campus. And then I typically respond to a whole host of emails and things before starting to code when I actually get into the office. I work on fraud detection, so what we're trying to do is stop bad guys from either stealing money from our users or from Google itself. So we are always trying to, keep up with people and also trying to bring in products and make sure that they are using our APIs and stuff properly. So a lot of what I have to do is meet with people and talk about requirements, talk about how they should be protecting themselves or what our rules are going to be. So there's a lot of coding, but then there's a lot of actually interacting with people and understanding their problems and trying to help them to give us to help solve their problem what we can give them to solve their problem. So I have this sort of it's definitely very techy because of course I'm coding constantly, but it's also there's a lot of meetings I have on my calendar all day long. Yeah.
So for someone, I was just going to say, for somebody that was an intern for 2 summers, what is the biggest difference you've seen as a full-timer?
Meetings, honestly. The internship, you're very, you have this high focus on I have my project, I have it exactly laid out, I have to do A, B, C, and then I'm done, and then summer's over, and I get to go out, And here it's a lot more, there's a lot more trying to find projects, define things myself, instead of having my host define them. And there's less trampoline dodgeball, also distinct lack in that.
We can make that happen.
What was that?
We can make that happen.
But yeah, no, it's still, it's a lot of fun. I personally like it better than my internship, honestly. It only got better from there. Every summer kept getting better and better. So here I am starting full-time, or doing full-time.
That's great. So what do you do on a day-to-day basis, Kamar?
So I guess after I get really healthy, hearty breakfast at Google, I head over to my desk where I'm greeted by a plethora of work, emails, of course, like Tess said, but also like the energy of my team. My team members like bring this like awesome energy to work every day that kind of like inspires me to just set my bar higher every day. So like we will like work from different meetings, and we'll collaborate with different teams. We're very cross-functional across Google. We'll have meetings and VCs from across the world, basically. From there, we'll meet with other engineers, try to find needs, knock out different tasks that can be knocked out for that given time, and we'll basically drive policy changes with other product specialists. And it's just really fun. By the end of the day, I'm pretty, I wouldn't say burnt out, but a little bit tired. So I like to probably kick back and watch like a movie or something, or if I have the energy, like bowl a game in CO3 or something like that. But of course, with my friends, and they happen to be coworkers, so it's an awesome time, and I really do enjoy working on such a small, fast-paced team.
Yeah, well, you were talking about having meetings with people all around the world, and although our headquarters are right here in Silicon Valley, Google truly is a global company that you really realize once you get here. So what are some of the places that you find yourself having conference calls and video chatting with during your days?
So for me specifically, I would have meetings from anywhere from people. We have a team that sits in Hyderabad. We have a team that sits, of course, right here in Mountain View. But then there's another team that is actually in Japan. So there's a couple of different teams that we might necessarily meet with, but a lot of the VC and the emailing necessarily takes place from the hub here, and then and sent out, and then it finds its way back again, so to speak. So we have a a unique culture within our group that we're able to meet with different people across the world, and I think it's just awesome.
Yeah. Dario, what do you do every day?
Every day is a little bit different for me. So my project is somewhat internal, so we have a lot of churn and a lot of different things that come in every day. But I guess I can start with my example of today. Today I had car issues driving in. My car wouldn't start. I had to get my roommate to jump me. But I made it in and answered my morning deluge of emails after eating breakfast, of course. But the past couple weeks I've actually been on call, so any kind of like serious production issues that might ever happen, I'm the 911 number for that. So that's a very dynamic task, being on call, and that's definitely a challenge, and I love it. It's interesting every day. Every 20 minutes something new happens, and you have to fix it or figure it out or make something new happen or call somebody or go to a meeting or find some way to get around some issue that needs to be solved instantly. So I guess my typical day is always different, but I guess the core thing is that I get my meals in and I get my rest at the end of the day. And I get to kick back with my roommates. But yeah, every day is a new challenge, and definitely an interesting challenge.
And Brittany, what do you do every day?
My typical day often revolves around food, actually. Google has a lot of different cafes, and all of them are delicious. But so I also shuttle in, like Tess. I live in San Francisco, and so I hop on the bus and I read my mail, like catch up on things that I didn't feel like doing, or that came in the day before, that came in while I was asleep. And so I'll respond to that, and then I'll get in here. If I'm lucky, I'm here before breakfast closes, but usually I just end up with a bowl of cereal. And then I'll spend the rest of my morning just catching up on a few more things, probably coding a little bit, responding to people's comments on things that I had done previously or the day before. And then I started thinking about what I'm going to eat for lunch and where I'm going to go. So many choices, and all of them are delicious. And then the afternoon is usually where most of my team's meeting happens. We're not morning people by any way, shape, or form. So when people want to talk with us, that's usually after 1. And so I'll spend maybe an hour or two after lunch just trying to figure out what we should do next with our project, and what are the next steps we want to take, and what features we should add. And so we'll have meetings with various teams to discuss either providing the data for us to display, or working with like product managers to figure out like what are the features we should target. And then my afternoon is coding a little bit more before I shuttle back home to eat dinner with my roommates and friends.
You don't eat dinner here?
Only sometimes.
For anybody that's just now joining, we are having our first Hangout on Air for our Black History Month series. So welcome. I'm going to ask one of the last questions that we have for this, and that basically is, what have you done since being involved in Google or in computer science has really made you either realize that this is really something you want to do, has gotten you really excited about someone who does engineering, like who's an engineer, or just made you really proud maybe of the company that you work for or the field that you have chosen? Kamar, we can start with you.
So the one thing, there's so many I'm trying to pick. I would say my core work really I'm developing a passion for it, so to speak, that since the very beginning I was really coming in, I wasn't really sure exactly what I was going to do as an ads quality analyst. And once I got here, I got a very clear understanding. And basically just the fact that Google puts, their users first and making sure that, we stay true to the company's core philosophies and that we make sure that we're not distributing bad ads. And I thought that was a very unique perspective, since prior to coming to Google, I've used Google since the very beginning. And me personally, doing a simple search, I've always had a question about the ads and, how the selection process and, could this ad essentially, be bad for me and my information. So I think that really speaks to like Google's core philosophies and what they stand for. And every day I'm reminded that this was the perfect choice.
That's great. Tess, how about you? What makes you excited about either the work that you do or coming in and being a computer scientist, being an engineer? Why are you happy that you've done this?
There's a lot of things. Constant problems, the back and forth that we have with our, fraudsters who come in and try and take money. It's definitely, I think, like that moment where I was really like, wow, I'm not only having an effect, but it's really awesome. It's like just seeing those graphs of like how many people we, when I push in new features, like, oh, I'm stopping this much fraud, and maybe catching this many people who might have taken over accounts. So like they're taking over someone's account, and it was just like we're catching them, we're stopping them. It's like that moment where you're like realizing the stuff that you do actually has an impact. It's really cool, and like I don't know, that just is really empowering. You kind of are like, yeah, I can. Any change I do, has an instant reflection on like our users and can like help stop them from suffering a terrible event of having someone take over their account. So it's a lot of fun here. And also what's made me proud at Google was having done some work in assistive technology, working with the blind. Is like the moment I got here, I think we had like a TGF, which was like, we need to, improve our accessibility, and that was just really awesome. So.
And Dari and Brittany?
I guess the highlight for me is being able to do things like this. Come in on a Monday and, get to have my face out there and talk about how awesome my job is and how awesome it is to work here. I don't know how many other companies
Plus one that.
Yeah. I don't know how many other jobs you can come in on a Monday and people ask you like, hey, do you want to talk about how awesome your life is? Okay. And then you go back to work and that's part of your normal day. So it's definitely a highlight for me to be able to do things like that and to meet all the amazing people who work here. It's more than just engineering, and like it's more than a single role. You can have more than one identity here. You can definitely be yourself and do all the things that you want to do and more, and things that you thought you'd never be able to do like this. For me, I never thought I'd do this. So I'm definitely excited to come into work tomorrow because something like this might happen again.
So yeah, I think like Google's commitment to increasing diversity, I just find extremely admirable. Like there are a bunch of different types of scholarships, a bunch of different like summer programs, just to try to increase the number of underrepresented people in this field in engineering. And being like an African American woman, you're super rare in computer science. Like being a woman, period, or being African American is already kind of rare, but being like an African American woman, it's kind of like being a unicorn. My friends often call me a unicorn because I'm like, I have the trifecta of being both black, a girl, and computer science. So Tess, you and I can be unicorns together. Like that's literally like my nickname. And so like the fact that Google's like trying to like actively working to make me not so, or make us not so unicorn and rare, like I think is amazing. I think also like on the engineering side, the homepage doodles. One of my former coworkers is now an engineering person on the Doodle team, and just like the things that they do are, like it's super exciting. Like there's a lot of engineering challenges, and they have to target browsers in all like countries, in all languages, all like ranges from like the super fast Chrome to like IE6 or something. Like there's just like a lot of engineering challenges, and like search also you have a lot of that as well. Just like targeting browsers that like you haven't thought about in years, and like having to make sure that like your features still work on them, and that like those users still have like a really good experience. It's really, really cool.
Awesome. Well, we have definitely learned that computer science is something that has huge impact and something that's really exciting, and you get to make things and actually make a difference. So I appreciate all of you guys coming to talk, especially you unicorns right there. You guys are very beautiful in your own.
Thanks, Brittany.
But thank you so much for all of those that are watching. Remember, feel free to go to google.com/students, and we'll see you tomorrow. Bye.